survival expert Tim McWelch approach. Another frigid night had passed, and my family began to stir as the light came through the window. It was too cold and too dangerous to sleep in separate rooms, so we all slept in the smaller upstairs bedroom. My wife and I had the little bed, and the kids slept on the cots. We had discovered by chance that our guest room faced south and warmed up nicely in the sunlight each day, so this was where we spent much of our time. The robbery yesterday still had the entire family rattled. My daughter was taking it the worst. Normally a chatty and upbeat girl, she was silent and slowly moving, distracted and depressed. It was time to give the whole family a little bit of hope, to reveal what I had hidden. I led my wife and kids to the master bedroom. Remember when we had that water leak and I repaired the drywall myself? My wife was quick to reply that she thought of oatmeal cover with copy paper every time she looked at my lumpy, hairy homeowner's repair job. I smiled and Johnny chuckled. It was good to hear that sound again. Well, if the wall's so bad, I'll tear it down, I responded. A quick jab to the drywall, and my arm was buried wrist deep into the wall. My wife gasped and stood shocked as I started ripping away chunks of the plasterboard. "Help me with this, Johnny," I asked. He was quick to oblige. My son tore at the brittle sheetrock, shouting, "There's something in here." Suddenly, my crazy idea of stash some food and supplies in the wall didn't seem too crazy anymore. "Oh my God," Janie said. I told him that there was 1 week's food for the four of us, bottled water, and a loaded handgun. After being showered with kisses, even from the boy, I set us up with the first good meal we had in a while. The fuel taps and folding stove at stashed in the wall were handy for heating up some water, which quickly rehydrated our freeze-dried camping meals. Food in a pouch had never tasted so good. "We have to hide all this, even hide the trash," I said. We didn't know if those men would come back or if they would tell others about us. We decided to hide the trash back in the wall and hide the food in the bottom of the Halloween decorations box in the attic. Who'd ever think to look in there? We agreed. Now it was time to build a plan. No one was going to work anymore. The kids were not going to school either. I knew our food would be gone in a week, and we had to find ways to get more without exposing ourselves to so many risks. We had to restore some semblance of normalcy, and most of all, we had to be able to defend ourselves from another possible attack. Since the power and water went out, life had drifted into a weird routine. In the morning, our family would collect snow in pots and pans, then bring it into the house and place it in the sunnier window to melt. Our bathroom situation was a bucket for pee and a rectangular bin for the other business. The shower was a soapy washcloth wiped down in the bathtub before the attack when we weren't messing with water procurement. We spent the rest of the time sitting around bored, but the time was over. It was time to take our survival into our own hands. We needed heat, water, food, defense. The heat was tricky to come by, and so many people had scavenged all the deadfall sticks and wood around the neighborhood to burn in their fireplaces and stoves. but we did make a deal with the neighbor to help him split and carry firewood from a nearby strip of forest in exchange for some of it. He had a chainsaw and the fuel. We had a splitting axe and labor to offer. Soon we were able to burn wood for heat, cook by the fireplace, and melt our snow quickly and easily for drinking water. For food, we started making traps like the ones they taught Johnny in Boy Scouts. We used all kinds of wire from house and garage and made some box traps too. Soon we were catching wild neighborhood rabbits in snares and small birds in box traps. These became tolerable tasting soups and stews, allowing us to stretch our 1 week supply of food into several weeks worth of. The defense part was still the most pressing issue on my mind. We never went anywhere without all family members going together and the handgun tucked into my concealed holster. We boarded up the first floor windows to make it harder for anyone to break in. We also made brackets behind the door and set them up with 2x4 pieces to bar the doors from the inside. We finally felt a little safer in our own home. Our self-reliant activities seemed to be catchy as the neighborhood trade network was soon booming. Every afternoon, people met in the neighborhood playground and set out their trade goods on blankets, cardboard pieces, fold-out tables. We traded some of our skinned rabbits for candles and ammo. We also helped several neighbors fortify their fortify their houses in exchange for some precious canned goods. People traded goods, labor, security guard services, and the like. And anyone who brought out paper money was generally laughed at or occasionally run off. After a few weeks of trading, we finally had enough rounds of ammunition to feel like we could hold our own. Spring was coming to an end. If the National Guard didn't show up soon, we planned to trade for seeds, use the tools in the garage to dig a garden, and grow some of our own food as soon as the danger of frost had passed. Maybe we could make it until the peace and utilities were established again. If our neighborhood could keep working together and fend off any possible robbers. Conclusion. So this is, Tim McWelch's approach. This is the conclusion. This type of scenario is a dismal one with no easy exit strategy. We wouldn't wish this type of future on anyone, not even our worst enemies. And the scariest part is that the scenario has happened in recent years. The economic collapse in Argentina left people without money, without utilities, and at the mercy of the rising tide of criminals between 1998 and 2002. People died from injuries during robberies. They died from dysentery due to a lack of clean water and basic sanitation, and they died from an inability to pay for the limited, overpriced medical care. If they can happen in large, modernized country like Argentina, it can happen almost anywhere. If this kind of scenario bothers you, then make some strides to prepare for it. Stock up on long-term shelf-stable foods, water disinfectation equipment, and tools for self-defense. You don't have to bury them in your wall, but it's a good idea to keep them in a secure, hidden location. And let's pray this bit of fiction never becomes reality. There is a YouTube video, Fernando something. I think it's the Modern Survivalist. I think is his channel. He is from Argentina, and I think he might have gone through the whole economic collapse back in Argentina, and he gives some good advice on, hold on, Onyx, what to expect, what to do, what not to do in an economic collapse, and what to do before, before an economic collapse happens. So I'll post a link to the video, to the comment below, to his YouTube channel. He's got some good stuff. Here we got the panel. Tip McWelch. McWelch has not yet. Hold on. Tip McWelch has been a survival instructor for the past 18 years and has trained members of the U.S. Armed Forces, the State Department, and Department of Defense, among others. He is also a public speaker on preparedness and is the author of Prepare for Anything and the upcoming Hunting and Gathering Survival Manual. You can follow him on Twitter at Tim, I'm going to spell this out, TIMMACWELCH, or get more information at www.advancesurvivaltraining.com. Eric Lund has more than 20 years of law enforcement experience, with much of that time spent as an instructor of firearms, defensive tactics, and use of force. He served as a Virginia State Trooper before accepting the position as a federal agent. Lund is also a senior instructor at Mike Seeklander's Shooting Performance LLC, a tactical training company. As a champion competitive shooter, he's earned several regional, state, and national 3-gun titles and is ranked as a Grandmaster by the United States Practical Shooting Association. And finally, Patrick McCarthy. Patrick is a freelance writer, editor, and photographer with an avid interest in survival and the outdoors. After receiving his bachelor's degree in 2010, Patrick made his first foray into journalism as the associated editor of Truckin' Magazine. He later moved on to become a freelance contributor and photograph numerous magazine covers. Patrick currently resides in Tustin, California, and works in the marketing department as a classic car parts company. How would you react to the same scenario as played by our panel? Share your plan with us on our Facebook, www.facebook.com/offgridmag, M-A-G. Okay, guys, so that is that. There's got some other good stuff here. Survival Chop Shop. This month's magazine is a must-have, a must-read. I definitely want to read over this. Hack-worthy blades. Not all machetes are forged equally. So you got different types of, bug-out knives, bug-out machetes, droning, having a drone for a bug-out bag, especially if you live out in the country where, you want to have a 360, having a drone, which they're not pretty expensive anymore, with a built-in camera, it's worth it. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. I will make a part 4. I've been thinking about it, and I will go over my scenario on, the economic collapse. What if? So I am going to play the role of a 4th survivalist. Give a background of, what I have, what I do, what I prep. So stay tuned for part 4.